Hi, did you know that ASEAN influences your lives in ways that you did not know? Here are 5 ways that ASEAN makes your life better. Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. Here are the 5 ways that ASEAN makes your life better. Number one, travel. I am amazed at how easy travel has become these days. When I was a lad growing up in 1970s, I used to see at the back of the Malaysian passport there used to be a long list of countries which we were prohibited to visit. Among them were countries like Cambodia, Laos, North Vietnam, of course, China, Russia, East Germany, and many others were there too. But today, we can travel to all the 10 countries in ASEAN without any problem. Just a couple of months ago, I traveled to Cambodia, to Vietnam, and of course Singapore, which is very close to us. All I had to do was to just book a flight, land at the airport, hassle free immigration, no paper to fill up. I got out of the airports, clicked onto my Grab app, got my ride to the hotel, and I spent the next few days moving around town just using Grab. I remember even when I was a diplomat and I had to travel very, very frequently to the ASEAN capitals for meetings. Sometimes I used to travel once a week to one capital or sometimes even two countries per week. Of course, we have to do all the paperwork to get ourselves, passed to the immigration and so on and so forth. But what was a big problem was the currency exchange. You remember those days we had to go around. I had to go around and I used to carry sandwich bags full of loose change so that whenever I landed in a particular country, I could use the loose change without any problem. But today, I don't have to do that anymore. Now, think about this. What is the advantage of it? When you have to change money, you lose exchange rates. And then you end up with loose change, coins, sometimes paper notes, which cannot be exchanged back at the money changes. Or even if they did, the rates would be much worse type of some ASEAN currencies cannot be exchanged back. So you end up having all these loose currencies with you. You lost first in the exchange, then you lost by having all these loose currencies, which you have to carry with you all along, hoping that you will be able to use them. In my estimates, you lose something like 7% each time you travel. If you spent $1,000 in your trip, 7% would come up to be about $70. That $70 could have been your meal, or you could have bought a piece of souvenir, for example. So 7% could have gone into your own pockets for your own use. Today, that is all a thing of the past. Traveling has become so easy. Everyone can travel, and you can visit all the 10 countries without any problem. Soon we will be having Timor-Leste joining us, so we will have 11 countries where we can visit, travel without any problem at all. Where does ASEAN come into the picture? You do not think about it, but behind all these are hundreds of hours of negotiation, agreements, paperwork, harmonization standards that has gone on thanks to ASEAN officials putting all these bits and pieces together so that you can travel seamlessly and move around easily. Reason number 2 is trade. I'm amazed that even a small artisanal producer in some remote part of Southeast Asia can market their products today to the rest of the region and to the world as well. Today, you can buy anything from any part of Southeast Asia without much hassles. I am a golfer. I play golf very badly, of course. My friends buy golf shirts which are made in Vietnam. And this is, to me, it's mind-boggling when I think about it, that I could just order my shirts from Vietnam and I could get onto the golf grounds and play another bad round of golf with a beautiful t-shirt from Vietnam. But having said that, trade is a very important benefit for people who live in ASEAN, business people, manufacturers, importers, exporters, the ordinary man. All these too as a result of all the work that has been done in the background. When we talk about ASEAN Economic Community, the officials are constantly working at chipping away the small blocks that hinders or hampers trade. They are working on the digital commerce, working at the same time on trying to harmonize some customs standards. They are also trying to facilitate greater harmonization standards in the regions. And for a long time, the region has been working on eliminating its tariffs. Trade has become much more easier today in the region thanks to ASEAN. If ASEAN wasn't there, this would have been much more difficult. Think about it. Number 3 is peace and stability. Yes, many people would say that, that is nothing new because the region is peaceful. But I can tell you, it hasn't always been this way. Prior to the 1960s, this region was a turbulent one. There were wars in some countries, crises in others, and instability all around. Life was not predictable for many people. I can tell you, as a diplomat, I've lived in some very difficult countries where there were wars either in the country or wars around the countries. People did not go to bed at peace. They could not be sure that they would be able to live and plan their life tomorrow or next week as a result of the conditions around them or in the country. They always had to keep aside a certain amount of their money or perhaps even gold and things like that, so that in any case they would be prepared to flee the country. We don't have to do that in ASEAN today. And that's the reason why, I can tell you, we feel deeply in our heart about the situation in Myanmar. We want peace over there as well, so that the Myanmaris can also live peacefully and enjoy their lives like the rest of us. And we too, as a region, can live in peace. This peace that we enjoy today, it is all due to ASEAN. You might have heard of terms like the zone of peace, freedom, and neutrality. For many people, it is another catchphrase, a geopolitical term which doesn't really mean much to them. But what it means is that this region is saying to the rest of the world that in Southeast Asia, we want it to be peaceful, neutral, and stable. If you come to this region, live by our rules. Do not bring your troubles here. Do not force us to choose sides. Do not bring your conflicts here. Put them away. As a result, we have peaceful norms today. So, whether you live in Kuala Lumpur or in Saigon or in Phnom Penh, you and your children can plan for your school holidays because you're reasonably certain that your life is going to be peaceful. It's very hard to put a dollar amount on that peace. For 58 years, ASEAN has provided that peace in the region. Do not forget that this is all due to ASEAN. Yes, you might have read Western media reports criticizing ASEAN for being nothing more than just a talk shop because its so-called consensus doesn't allow it to take decisions. It is slow-moving, lethargic. Some of you may have believed that as well. But please, take a moment, put that aside. If ASEAN was not there, your life would be much more different than it is today. Number 4, ASEAN provides your children with a bright future. Why do I say that? When you read the newspapers, you'll find that there's so much interest on ASEAN. Despite the criticisms, you'll find that a lot of coverage is given to this part of the world. Why is that so? It is because the region is a vibrant one. It is one of the fastest growing regions in the world. It is a 4th or 5th economic power globally speaking today. So there are many, many statistics that says that this region is continuing to grow and the future is bright. Why? Because the people are young, they are well educated, but more than that is because ASEAN as a grouping is committed to make this region a place where you can live, move around, and practice, and in a seamless manner as you will. So children in this part of the world be able to come out with 14 or 13 years of education practically effortlessly. Compare that with many parts of the world where this is not possible. And if you project this down a few years down the road, you'll find that a preponderantly larger number of our children from this part of the world will be much better positioned as global citizens. So this is actually provided to you by ASEAN. But of course, we don't think about it that way, but when you analyze it very carefully, the conditions that has been put in place in the region allows you to do that. So your children will be much better accepted around the world because they're exposed to a multicultural environment. This ability for people to move around in different countries is adding value and enriching them and making them much better positioned to face the world of the future. And that is all I can say thanks to ASEAN. That's the fourth way ASEAN is enriching your lives and the lives of your children. Number 5, shared cultural heritage. Because we can travel easily today in the region, we can better appreciate, understand each other's cultures. In the past, we could only know them through books or papers or maybe even just television. But today, we can actually go and experience them. Or we can actually bring them to our own doorsteps today. What does it mean? It does not mean that you, of course, it's a great thing to enjoy different cultures, but for the more entrepreneurial among us, it is possible to try and monetize some of them. Let's say, for example, Christmas is celebrated around the world. So when Christmas approaches, businessmen and others would try to capture the season's interest by maybe selling certain types of merchandise or certain types of food or certain types of activities, for example. Now, why can't we do that with other cultural, holidays of other parts of the world? If you're enterprising, you could probably cater for certain types of major holidays in some other ASEAN country in your own capital, so that you could attract people from other parts of the world to enjoy that aspect of culture here right at your doorstep. And this is all provided by ASEAN. You couldn't do that in the past. It's just, I have to keep saying this. You can move around easily. This 1 month visa-free travel that ASEAN citizens enjoy is an immense, advancement that has been put in place by ASEAN. This alone has enabled us to travel without the hassle of getting a visa and so on and so forth. So, yes, you could market different types of ASEAN food now that you will know about them. There are many, many areas of things that you can actually market. Dressing, for example, is one thing. Batik, of course, is a very common form of dressing in Malaysia, but there are different types of batik in the other parts of the ASEAN region as well. So you could market them. There is barong in the Philippines. There are other types of materials in other parts of the Southeast Asian region. So we could actually use the shared cultural heritage that we have and that we are able to enjoy and understand today for the benefit of all of us. That's number 5. So these are the 5 ways that ASEAN enriches your life in ways that you did not realize. There are actually many more, but I just wanted to take a moment to talk about these 5. But what is it that we as citizens of this region can do? We can ask the leaders of ASEAN, the ASEAN chair, for example. We can make our views heard. What is your wish list? Let me just give you one of mine. I am hopeful that one day we would be able to have an ASEAN logo on the passports or on our currencies so that when we move around the world, we would be able to feel that we are citizens of one particular region. And I am certain when that goes into our minds that we are a citizen of a region, it will have positive side effects. We will start thinking of how to improve the livelihood of the people. How can we make our ringgit or dollar or peso go further? So put your comments in this video, your wish list. Thank you very much.